Today I'm gonna learn how to develop Chrome extensions. I'm gonna wait to see if it's streaming. So basically what happened is I was reading a book with this extension here, the text to speech thing, Speechify, and out of nowhere it broke, and I have the premium subscription from them, but it broke out of nowhere, and I realized like I went back and forth sometimes on like there were several different times that I wanted to build a Chrome extension, but then I decided to not do it because it would take too much time. But now I think like this kind of pissed me off, to be honest, because like I'm not relying, but like it's very useful to have text-to-speech because I read a lot of things and it's a lot more effective to read when you have the text-to-speech. And like the fact that I can't do it now because something went wrong with their stuff, and like it's like a bottleneck for me. And I have the premium subscription and it's still not working. So like what I want to do is try to develop this on my own. But I think that it's probably going to take too much time because it is very hard to do it. So I want to see if I can, like the main point is to learn Chrome extensions because I think it's a very valuable skill. And I have a lot of different ideas of things that I want to do eventually with Chrome extensions. So I think it just makes sense to put the effort now, since this stuff happened, to learn how to do this. And yeah, that's the idea that I have now. I'm gonna try to build something like this, a very simplified version that allows me to. The main things like I don't really care about any of this stuff here. Like it can be very simple. The main thing that matters to me is just the speed and the highlighting that they have here. So I want to see if I can reproduce this. But the first thing that I'm gonna do is try to see. So the way that I think it works is basically just like developing any website. You have the only difference is that the main difference is going to be that on Chrome extensions you have a manifest file that it works kind of like an interface between. So I was already kind of thinking about developing another one, which is a very simple one that I always thought about this, where like if I had the Chrome extension that switches the prices of things from dollars to the time invested based on an hourly rate, I think it would change a lot my mind on what kind of things I want to buy. And I think it makes a lot more sense to think about it like that, where like you're actually spending time, not money, because time is a lot more valuable. So like every time you're gonna buy something, for example, if you have on Amazon, you want to buy something, if it showed the actual time we're gonna spend to buy that based on an hourly rate, I think it would switch people's decisions a lot on what they buy. So I was thinking about building these, and it's like very simple. Just do a formula where they input the amount they make, and then it converts. But then I was thinking about like how I'm gonna get the information and things like that. So that's the reason why I didn't do it for now. So from the very little that I saw, now you have these things here you can put on the manifest file. The content scripts is the scripts that are gonna run for the extension. The background script is one that runs all the time. And there's browser actions, and then you have an API. And I think the great thing about developing my own extensions as well is that I can allow to read the data from all of the files because I know the extension is mine. And I was thinking about like there's trillions of different things that I can do once I mastered this. So, and this I got from ChatGPT. So I think it's a good starting point. And the first thing that I want to do is just see how, like, if I can show anything there. There's also the pop-up thing. So in the browser actions, you put the defaults. I'm just gonna spend a bunch of time reading this documentation here, and then figuring out what I can do. So the main thing that I want to do in the beginning is just create something simple that when I click it shows a screen or a page. And I already have the template of the player from the stuff that I was building, the website that I was building. So I think I'm just gonna use that one and copy the code to this. Maybe should the other thing that I found out is this other thing here, which is pretty much a wrapper on ChatGPT, but it's a lot better than ChatGPT, the interface, because they recommend websites as well. That's where I got this recommendation. I think I'm just gonna, the name is Perplexity. I think I'm just gonna use that to try to see like what I have to do in the beginning. I guess this is the first question that I have. I should probably use React, but like React is gonna be annoying to deal with this state. So I think like the main thing is that I would have to deal with this state when I like so the question would be with the text-to-speech, how does it work? I need to clarify the questions first that I have. So I think one of the main questions is how do I know like what text to read, because it can be any page, and I think that like there could be dynamic data. So how do I deal with that? I think that's one of the questions. The other one is how do I get the text-to-speech? It's probably going to be a library, and then how do I highlight the code as the thing reads? I think there's a lot of stuff. I'm not really sure. I think I'm just gonna use React, whatever. Just gonna use Vite. I think I'm gonna follow this tutorial here. I'm gonna delete the files that I have here and just start from scratch. Just initialize with Vite, then probably the only difference is the manifest, a JSON file. And then you can upload the things. Well, the other question would be the node modules. So let me see. Let me go over this article and then I'll think about it. Right. Maybe I should not use React at first. Just like create something simple, and then once I understand how it works, then I think about it. So maybe I was thinking about using creating the other one first, which will be more simple. But then I thought it like, why not just create the thing that I want to create right away, since I'm already gonna spend the time thinking about it. So maybe I can create 2 different versions, or I can refactor it later. Yeah, so the matches is what URLs is gonna work on. Power your mouse. So let me open the, I'm gonna open the Chrome extensions thing, and I'm gonna try to see if the thing that I have there is gonna work. The code from ChatGPT. Hmm. Ground service worker. No, service worker. So it looks like this version of Manifest is different, so probably a bunch of stuff changed. I'm just gonna, so this is probably gonna be a string, so I'm just gonna delete this one. And probably the best thing to do is just to read the documentation there. This pop-up is the thing that shows when you click the extension. Nice. Browser action. This is one of the questions that I had as well in the beginning is, but I guess if I just click here, okay. So like those are the kind of the most annoying things in the beginning. That's the reason why I was delaying. But then I realized that's like probably not that hard. But the beginning is kind of annoying because like there's certain things like you don't know very well how to do it. So like the whole development flow, I think. So I need to get better at that. And the thing that I'm very interested on is like I'm gonna spend a bunch of time reading this stuff here, and I wanna clarify, like I wanna become better at understanding everything that you can do with the API and all the information you can get. Because as far as I understand right now, you can get any information you want as long as you have the permissions. And then like there's like so much stuff that I was thinking about that I can do. And also I want to understand if I can connect this with the operational system. Because obviously the browser is going to save files somewhere. So, but I think that's, and this is the question is like how much do they allow you to have control? So like where do they draw the line of this stuff you can do? And just save data on files. But I think it's probably not gonna be possible. So, and that's the kind of thing that it's gonna be more difficult to do it because then you need to create an API and then send requests. So it becomes a lot more annoying. Yeah, but let me see. So if I click here, it shows nothing. No, this is options. Nice. So it's actually not that difficult at all. No, the difficult part is gonna be, so like the main question that I have right now is like how do I get all the data? That's what I wanna, because the challenge is gonna be, I think the biggest challenge is gonna be how to continue to read text dynamically. So for example, in pages we have infinite scroll. I think that the page makes requests to APIs as you are scrolling to get the new text. Obviously, that's what makes the most sense to me because it wouldn't make sense to get all the data right away. So like there is the whole hydration thing that's a lot more clear in my mind right now. Like, and that's going to depend a lot on what kind of framework you use, but there are several different techniques to hydrate the website, which just means hydrate is just a fancy word to say that you're going to make the JavaScript work. So for most single page apps, I think that the HTML is sent first. Like it gets the HTML on the server, creates the HTML, like the tree, and then sends to the client, and then it loads that first, and then there's an extra step that it hydrates the JavaScript, makes the JavaScript work. So it's kind of loading the thing twice. And then, like on Quick, that's the main difference between Quick and the other ones. The Quick serializes the JavaScript in JSON directly on the HTML, so it's a lot faster because there's only one step. And then based on the user interaction, it loads everything. And then there's other, like, I think that Astro is with islands that they say that some parts you hydrate at the same time. Some parts you hydrate only based on the interactions, and other ones you hydrate automatically. And obviously this is like the gradient that is going to be dependent based on like the optimization of each thing. So what each part of the page is going to do is going to depend like on how your strategy to optimizing when you should hydrate that thing. So things that should be interactive right away should be hydrated right away, and then other things that are not should be hydrated later. So it makes more sense that most pages we will only like get all the data and hydrate when it's necessary. So when you're scrolling, it loads things. So I think that's something that's gonna happen very often. And that's, I think, the biggest challenge here is like the first thing that, not the first thing, but like the thing that is gonna be the most complicated to figure out is how do I make the logic keep working when there's new text, and how do I get the main question that I have now is like how do I get all the text from the website? The other thing that I'm thinking about that I want to do it, but it might be more complicated. So I'm probably gonna use Python, I think, but not really sure. But like I want to do something on the operational system to read the text right away. So like instead of, because right now I'm using text, the Speechify, so I have to load the PDF on the browser and then it reads from the browser. I want to create something that reads from the PDF directly and then connect the two like with the extension. So send the data from the extension to the browser thing, or but that's going to be more difficult because then you have to create the GUI, the user interface. So I'm probably going to use Python, I think. So the downside of Python is that obviously it's going to be a lot slower. So obviously I think that for all this stuff is C++ is the one that people use, but it becomes a lot harder. So I think for the text-to-speech thing, it's probably not bad to use Python. So let me see if I can just find the. So maybe the first thing that I think I'm gonna do is just open the other page and I'm gonna try to see. That's probably the easiest thing to do. So get the code from the other one and then just start to see if I can just load the same thing that I have on the website, but on there, which is gonna be the template for creating the player. I think that's the first thing. And once I have that, I think about the functionality, and then I'm gonna read the API on how to get the data. Then once I figure that out, then I think about which text-to-speech engine I'm gonna use. There's probably, I think that for sure there are open source ones, but I'm not really sure like if they. Yeah, I'm gonna have to just see a bunch of stuff. So now I have to remember. I think it's this thing here. And the thing is, like, the problem is that this is on React, so the question is gonna be which one is easier to do. I think I'm gonna have to use React because it's just gonna be easier. I want to do obviously whatever is like the easiest thing to do, so I don't spend too much time trying to figure this out. So if I don't use React, then so like what is the fundamental question here about this state? Like what is the difference between managing state on the Chrome extension or when on a website? Obviously I can create the functionality to handle the variables. Well, there's also this library that I'm using. So this is another question, is if you're using external libraries, if you're using node modules, then how does it work? So I guess like the easiest thing to do, and maybe you can't do that. So I guess I'm gonna ask the thing here, or ChatGPT. I think that the biggest difference is the manifest JSON, but I'm not really sure if you have Obviously, I can test there. Just initialize the package.json and then install a library and then try to reload the application and reload the extension and see if it still works. It's the entry point of our extension. Yeah, but this approach doesn't seem very resilient. One thing that I didn't like as well is that a lot of the tutorials and things they build extensions based on the class names of the things, and that's the kind of thing that I'm not really sure. Because like, obviously this one can't be done but like that, so there is a way to do it. So I just have to figure out like how to get all the data. I guess like there's probably a method to, and this is the thing that I have to see on the API. There's probably a method to get the whole HTML tree, and then you just make the logic based on the whatever node you want to extract information. You just get the text from the nodes. I'm not really sure about the security as well, because then like if you have websites that have like malicious things inside of the text, and if you do that, then obviously there's concerns. So this is one of the things that like I don't like about this one, is that he's saying that you should build React and then get the exact file from the build and then put on the script on the thing, the HTML. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So let me ask this thing here. I guess like the obvious answer would be just like you have the entry point, which is the JavaScript file you put there, and then from the entry point you just download the other files, but I guess the question is this thing here, extensions here. So I'm thinking about whether or not is worth it to. I'm gonna use React because I don't want to change the whole thing there. It's gonna be easier to just use React. And I also need the style folder, our style file. I'm just gonna use React. I'm gonna try to use React, obviously. So I think that what I'm gonna do is just use React, and then on the default pop-up thing, I put the React page, the main entry point for the React thing. The only question would be the library. Yeah, so that's the question. So I guess I put everything on one folder. Yeah, but then I don't remember the commands. The fuck? Interesting. Maybe it's because of the my extension. Hey David, thanks. But it's not happening on this other page, so I just wanna remember the command to start the React thing. Also just pass the flag variable, the templates. But I remember there is a command here somewhere. I know that you can put the plugin on the whatever file. I guess here. I don't want to think. There's also yeah, just React. Maybe you should do it with solid. I'm just gonna do it like the easiest thing possible. Uh, I'll be right back. But the question that I'm asking myself now is the whole node modules thing. Is like, obviously I can just put all the files on a separate folder and just leave the node modules separated, but then like, yeah, I'm not really 100% sure how to put into words exactly what my doubt is. Like, there's something like, it's probably because of the way that the Vite is gonna create the server. I think that's the thing that is kind of weird to me. That's probably the thing that I don't understand. Is like, because normally when you use React, you're gonna use a compiler, so you either can probably use Vite or Webpack, and then Webpack is gonna bundle all the code into files, and then it's gonna create a server, and then like the whole logic of creating the server and setting up everything, I don't have a lot of knowledge on it, and it's kind of like a black box. But usually the way that it's gonna work, obviously, is you're gonna put the commands yarn dev or npm run dev, and then it's gonna load the server, and I'm gonna develop based on the server. So like, if I'm doing the Chrome extension, that's the thing, is like, because I'm uploading the file, and like, how does it work? How does the code run? So, but it's kind of hard to like think about the exact question that I wanna ask to clarify this. Like, how should I upload the file? Like, which file is necessary to upload here? Which files does the thing needs to have access to run? But if it needs React, so I guess the main question is external libraries, because React is an external library. So it needs React and React DOM, and what is the relationship between Vite and the thing as well? So I guess that's another question. I'm gonna be right back. So that's how I do it. Yeah, like this is the issue with this. It's always run into the same problem as well. Is that like there's several different ways to do things, and then like these resources are not gonna tell me like they're not gonna explain the fundamental things. That's the problem. So I have to clarify. The main thing that I want to clarify is the libraries. So I think that's so you're gonna use a compiler, which is gonna be either Vite or Webpack, and then that is gonna compile everything into a file by resolving the imports. That's like the bundling process, and then so it seems like that it's pretty clear that you should like the way that he did it there is just by specifying which file, like specifying content.js on the Webpack configurations to be the file that everything gets bundled to, and then he puts the script on this one, on the HTML, the main HTML for React based on the build. So like you create the build on React, and then on the extension you pass the path to the build as the script. As a script on the HTML file that works as the pop-up. But then the question is obviously I'm not really sure if that's the best way or not. Or it doesn't seem like it is the best way though. Just because you have to rely on the specific file inside of the build folder. There must be a better way, I think. So, like one thing that comes to my mind, but then still. So I guess the question is, how can I use? The problem, like the concern that I have with this is that I'm gonna get into like it's gonna be a rabbit hole and then it's gonna take too much time. So I just wanna find like the easiest thing possible, but at the same time, it would be good to clarify everything. So I think that's, and this is the debate I was kind of having because then like I'm gonna deviate from what I'm doing, but I think it's gonna come together like because there's several different things that I could do with Chrome extensions. So like, if I figure that out, if I go past the initial first annoying part, which is figuring out everything, then like when I come back I can just like create things together that they're gonna work together. So I think it is worth deviating, but if it takes too much time, then it's probably better to go back and to finish the stuff that I was doing. It's the same one that I was reading before. Allah. Like I'm starting, yeah, but then like I still need the. Oh, actually, I don't need the JSON. Maybe yeah, maybe I forgot about using React for now because like it's gonna be like this. Whole, I'm gonna try to see if I can figure out depending on how much time because I still have to finish all the other stuff. But like I'm thinking about like which one. Like it's gonna be a lot of work now, and I'm gonna have to dive into this whole rabbit hole of the compiler, the configuration, which is very annoying. I already had the experience of trying to figure out the I'm not really sure why that's the case, but it seems to be the case for both Webpack and Vite. It's very hard to find information that it speaks about the configuration itself, and then when you look at the source code, it's very confusing. So I know that this is gonna be very hard to like figure out the Vite customizations. So the way that I think is probably the best way is you use Vite to compile everything into one file, and that's going to be the target file, and then from that file you just put on the manifest.json. But then there can be like some nuances along the way, because like it's a different way of running the thing, I think. So when you run from React, like normally you're going to create the server, and then you're going to see the changes you make on the website based on the server. But when you're creating the common extension, I'm not 100% sure the nuances of where, like how is the code running, and it's obviously on the browser, but like the browser is running the code, but then how, like what is the difference between the browser running as a common extension and the browser running from the server? I think that's and there's a bunch of like black boxes there that I'm not really sure, and that I think are gonna be hard to clarify. So I think maybe the best thing to do is just to change the code that I have there, because I realized that actually I don't need this library here. I was thinking that I was gonna need this one, but this comes from the store, and like I'm gonna change the functionality. I just want the CSS template. So it's probably better to just remove everything, and then I redo the functionality. I'm gonna get the style. Then I'll study the React thing upstream. But I had a lot of ideas of things that I can do, so I think I'm gonna invest the time because it's worth it. If I can get data, like all the data, then like it's gonna be really interesting. I guess like logic is not, it's gonna change anyway, and it's not that that complicated. So the thing is, I haven't coded in Vanilla.js for so long that I don't remember like what are the differences. Well, this is gonna be on the script tag. So it doesn't make sense to return the thing here. They probably should create just yeah, then I'm gonna have to get the elements and then add the event listeners on the JavaScript file. Actually, it doesn't make sense to put. I'm gonna put the HTML there on the pop-up thing. You write defer to load the JavaScript, the JavaScript after it loads the HTML. I think so. Like it runs. I think doing this is the same as writing like this here. So what I'm gonna do is just delete this file. Then put the code here. I don't remember anymore how to do it without React. Obviously, the event listers are not gonna be here. I'm just gonna get from using query selector and then adding from the JavaScript, but I don't remember the classes. Like I'm pretty sure that I need to like put like this. Yeah. I'm not sure why he's not complaining if it doesn't have.
It's a place of the imagination.
I think about this later. So I'm just gonna delete now. I forgot how to do this. I'm not really sure if there's a way to do this. I was like, yeah, there isn't a way to just put it on the. So I'm gonna have to remember because I'm gonna have to get the thing and then change the tags with the object on the JavaScript thing. I'm just gonna remove for now, and then I copy the code again from the other one. This is kind of annoying though. But it's gonna be the same thing, just change the text from the JavaScript. And now I don't understand why he's complaining. Since I removed the export. You have to delete the thing and upload again. But let's see now. Oh, same thing. I said, let's like. I think it should be at least showing something. Maybe it's because of the body. And I think that's the problem. So I think it's all fucked up because this one was inside of another thing. I don't remember really well, like, but I do remember that I have to do the CSS based on the stuff from the outside. So I'm gonna have to change this. But I think it's like this is like the easiest thing. So the part that is hard is the how to get the data and then the API. But I don't understand why it's not. Unified. I guess this is the questions because it's also the way that I was thinking is not loading here when you click, but loading the same way that they do it here. It just loads the thing here. That's what I wanna figure out. I guess what I can do is inspect their stuff. So they are using React, seems like. Yeah, I'm gonna do it this way that I'm doing first, just to get the sense of how it works. But I think off stream I'm gonna dive deeper into how to make it work with external libraries, because obviously it's a lot better if you can use external libraries. think I'm gonna figure out the CSS thing for on stream, and then I'm gonna stop and figure out the rest of stream. Not really sure if it's the it can't be the display because it changed. Let me remove the other stuff. Can I comments? Yeah. I'm just gonna remove. I think I'm gonna delete these files as well. Maybe this is the reason why it's breaking some pages when I convert the dollar sign. Now let me this here. I think I should probably do this. I think like this is gonna fail probably as well. Yeah, so I just research that later. Let's leave it like this. Can't be the name. So maybe if I I think that deleting the other CSS is not gonna solve because it's not related. Maybe I delete the stuff related to the flags. Maybe if I put this on the body as well, it's gonna work. And that's why it's not working. Yeah, I don't understand why it's not showing there. I think I'm gonna stop here, to be honest. I just wanna... I'm gonna read the documentation of stream. This documentation here is gonna take a lot of time, probably. And then I'm gonna try to figure out the React stuff as well. This first part's the most annoying. But like, I think it's not that hard. You just figure out what keys to use on the manifest.json, then figure out what methods on the API are the most important. Then obviously I have to figure out the CSS as well. Like, I don't understand why it's not going there, even though I have the position here, so. So the first thing that I'm gonna figure out is the CSS, like how to, I wanna display in the same way that the Speechify displays there. Like when you click the extension, there's probably, like the thing that I don't understand really well is how does it work with the, because on Speechify they also have two different inputs. So like how does it work, what is the relationship between the CSS from the Chrome extension and the CSS from the page that the Chrome extension is being loaded on. So that's the thing that I don't get. I need to clarify that first. Then after, I think this is one fundamental thing. Then the other fundamental thing is just the libraries. I think those are the big things probably that are most annoying in the beginning. Then once I figure this out, like this shoe, then I think it becomes easier, because then it's just figuring out what's, there's probably, I assume that's probably like a function here on the API that allows you to get the data. Obviously there has to be a way, because they do it, so like to get all the text from the page. That's the main thing that I want to do first. But I think it's probably better to just figure out offstring. So I'm probably gonna come back. I think I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna like deviate a little bit from the, I'm gonna continue to study CPython offstring, but I wanna get to the point where I have, because I really didn't like that this like happened, because now like I'm relying on them fixing the thing for me to be able to read again at a high speed. So I want to have my own thing, even if it's a lot worse than this one. That is gonna be like a text-to-speech that is very, very simple, and that's is gonna probably only work on English, on the best voice that I find from this one, which is probably gonna be this John here. So I'm just gonna try to figure this out. Like this one, like it's gonna be one voice in English, and then the speed's gonna be able to go very high, and then obviously highlight and move the page as well, which is gonna be annoying to figure out. So, but once I'm gonna do this until I get to the point where I have that, a very simple one that can read, highlight things, and change the speed. And then I can use that one. And then after that, I'm gonna think about whether or not it's worth it to focus on maybe writing something on Python or C++ that is gonna be a PDF reader, so I can read books as well. The annoying thing about the PDF reader as well, I just realized that I'm probably gonna have to figure out a way to save the state as well, so like it remembers at what point I stopped. But I think I'm probably gonna end up like spending the time to figure that out, because it is gonna be very, like, it's kind of annoying to open the PDF on the browser, and it would make it a lot easier for me to read books on PDF if I could just click the PDF. It has to be something that I just click and then it goes directly on the thing. Yeah, but I'm gonna continue to study this stuff here off stream. Just gonna read the documentation, try to fix the CSS. So probably tomorrow, or yeah, tomorrow, 2 days from now, after I study a bunch of this stuff, I'm gonna continue to try to build this thing here. Probably gonna use React as well, I think. So